Welcome to Being Intrepid. I'm here at ATD25 in Washington, D.C. We're here on the expo floor, and what we're doing is we're inviting learning leaders in to share their perspective on some of the top learning trends right now, what's changing in the industry, what they think learning leaders should be focused on in the future. So let's jump right in and hear from these leaders. I'm here with my friend Howard Farfel, who is the CEO of TalentSmart EQ. Howard, tell us a little bit about TalentSmart EQ.
We're 100% focused on developing emotional intelligence skills. We do it through assessment, coaching, training, e-learning, whatever the modality needed, and really just helping people learn more about themselves, building stronger connections, relationships, and recognizing and understanding their emotions so that they can manage them better, not just in the workplace, but also at home. So key skill right now in leadership.
Key skill in leadership and key skill in the age of AI. Like that's an enduring skill, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Okay. So Howard, tell us, we're here at ATD on the show floor.
Yeah.
What's one valuable insight that you've taken away from this year's ATD?
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, AI. So it's just a huge topic in a lot of the sessions, a lot of the booths. And I think there's just a strong understanding that, you need to be embracing AI and weaving it into your day-to-day work. But if you forget about the human connections and sense of belonging and leading people, then it's kind of a non-starter. So you can only go so far, like making things more efficient, if you don't have kind of the people, the purpose, the processes that people really care about, that want to be part of something more meaningful. Then it doesn't matter how efficient you are. So I think people are recognizing you got to marry those things together, the human element, the technology and AI elements. So I think there's a lot of interesting conversations going on. Are you hearing those? You talking about that?
Absolutely. Like the human and AI is really the combination that I think organizations are really looking for.
Yeah.
So, okay. So next lightning round question for you.
Yes.
The future of learning is.
Oh, can I use more than one word?
You can.
All right. The future of learning is, I think it's again finding this right balance between personalization and also kind of structure and getting guidance and things. So I think we go back and forth sometimes, and everyone wants personalized learning and then aren't really sure how to even get started and don't know what works best. So I think it is finding that perfect optimal blend between a very tailored, personalized approach to learning for an individual and also what are the skills and competencies needed to do the job well. And not every individual is going to know that, as well as some of their leaders or chief people officers, things like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Howard, you work with a lot of learning leaders. So I'm wondering, what's your advice? Like what's one thing that a learning leader can do today to be intrepid?
To be intrepid. I mean, I think it's a great time to be intrepid and be courageous. And I think that's the key right now is probably not being afraid to fail. I think what we see a lot right now is people just hesitating. They want more data. They're not really sure what to do. But I think the adage of, fail fast, I think would be a great way to be intrepid right now, and take small risks and learn quickly instead of waiting for all the data, because most of us don't have time. Things are moving very quickly.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming by.
Awesome
really
to see you.
Howard.
Thanks for the opportunity.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Hello. Hey, I'm here with Kevin Cope, who is the founder and CEO of Acumen Learning. Kevin, tell us a little bit about what Acumen Learning does.
Yeah. So our vision statement as a company is that work is a big part of life, and we believe it should be meaningful. And so we find that when individuals know how they matter and make a difference in the business, they're going to be more engaged. They're going to give better effort. And so we help people get really clear on how their company makes money, what their financial strategy is, how they're performing, how they stack with their competition, and then help people get really clear on how they can align their actions to what the company's trying to accomplish. So business and financial acumen.
I think like every CEO is looking for what you do. Pretty much, Kevin.
Yeah.
Cascading that down to the organization. So that's awesome. So we're here at ATD 25 here in Washington, D.C. Tell us a little bit about what's a key insight that you're taking away from this ATD experience?
Yeah. What comes to mind is the importance of lifelong learning, and not just kind of formal training, but the idea and the mindset of being a lifelong learner. The world is changing quickly. And if we're not sort of engaged in figuring out how to understand it, how we fit into that, I think it's hard to be effective.
I mean, I love that. I've actually been thinking about this idea of learning is really the only important meta skill in the age of AI.
Yeah.
It's like, how fast can we learn? How can we adapt to this
Yeah.
environment? So I love
Because
that
if you're
thought.
curious, you'll pay attention to any deficit that you have and do something about it. So I like that sort of that meta underlying foundational skill.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, okay, so building on that,
Yeah.
fill in the blank for this sentence. The future of learning is.
I think it's up to you. Meaning, as learning changes, it can change all it wants to, but if you're not engaged with it, it's going to bypass you. So I think learning is really up to an individual, and there's a myriad of ways that you can get that learning. So, that's why I said up to you.
Love that. He didn't say AI, by the way. Love that. Okay, so the last question for you. You work with a lot of learning leaders.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your advice as you're looking out to the learning leaders on the floor, ones you work with? How can they be intrepid? How can they make that be bold in their work today? What's your one piece of advice for them?
Yeah. So I had the chance to work with Stephen R. Covey several decades ago. I worked quite closely with him at the Covey Leadership Center. He used to talk about this idea of high courage, high consideration. And I think today it feels like what's really kind of popular is being very courageous.
Yeah.
What I think we need are folks that are really courageous. They're saying what they think, giving their opinion, but they're also highly considerate. And so I think we need a higher balance of consideration these days. And so that would be my advice. The world needs that.
Yes.
Our companies need high courage and high consideration. So that'd be my advice.
Thank you for your wisdom.
Oh, my
and
pleasure,
your
Sam.
time.
Yeah,
so
thank
good
you.
to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I'm here with Vince Hahn, who's the founder and CEO of Mobile Coach. So Vince, tell us a little about Mobile Coach.
So we do managed chatbots for learning experiences. So this is like having a private chatbot that's very smart about a training journey someone's on and follows up with them through like Microsoft Teams or SMS or something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we're here at this big ATD expo show here. Tell us, like, what's one insight you've taken away from ATD25 this year?
Well, I think there's a lot of nervous energy here, which I think is a one part opportunity, one part uncertainty.
Yeah.
Both like, how's AI going to affect the learning journeys and our the projects that we're working on, as well as overall economic uncertainty too. So a lot of sort of nervous energies, how I would feel.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So Vince, I'm going to give you a sentence. I'd like you to just fill in the blank here. Okay. So the future of learning is.
Future of learning is reskilling, upskilling, adapting. I think that's especially learning, actually, even outside of corporations.
Yeah.
Just learning in general. The world is changing so fast, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. There's constant change that need to be curious for building these new skills. Okay. So you work with a lot of chief learning officers, learning leaders. Now's your opportunity to give them some advice. Okay. So what's one thing that learning leaders could do to be intrepid, to be bold, to be courageous in this time of change?
Be strategic, be a business leader, understand not only your role in corporate learning, but if you really are in the C-suite, how is your core business going to be affected? How are you going to be competitive? How are you going to add value in this ever-changing world? I think we have to start really learning to think in the boardroom. And if you're intrepid in being able to do that, I think that all the skills and the resources we have in learning will really be able to add tremendous benefit to the organization.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks for coming by.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. Hi, I'm here with Debbie Ung, who's the president of Blanchard. Debbie, tell us a little bit about Blanchard.
Yeah, so Blanchard, we're a leadership development company. It's been around for 45 plus years, and we really focus on how do you truly unlock the potential of leaders and create leaders powered for good. Phenomenal.
So important today.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So Debbie, since we're here on the floor at ATD, it's fitting that I ask you the question, like, what's an insight that you've taken away from ATD at this conference the last couple of days?
You know, when you walk the halls, when you talk to the attendees, it is clear that the field of learning has changed. The needs have changed. The solutions have changed. I mean, you walk this hall and the plethora of choices that organizations have to equip their individuals, their leaders, to upskill. Like I haven't really seen this much diversity in between technology, between content, between the integration of all of that. It's really quite exciting.
It really is. It's like it builds some empathy for that learning leader too, trying to navigate all this.
Oh my
right?
gosh. Oh, it's so complex.
It's like the salmon swimming upstream.
Yes.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
The future of learning is fill in the blank.
Oh, one word or a couple words?
You can one word, couple words, whatever you like.
I mean, the future of learning is complex.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting. And there's tremendous opportunity.
Awesome. Love that. Okay, so now you work with a lot of learning leaders, business leaders in your job.
Yeah.
What is one way that learning leaders you think can change to be intrepid, to be bold, to be courageous?
You know, I think stepping outside of the box, right? Abandoning we used to always do it this way.
Yeah.
And being purposeful of getting uncomfortable, exploring things that perhaps at one point might feel a little threatening to them.
Yeah.
That, you know, this could replace me, but if you can get outside of your box and really be curious and just get comfortable with being uncomfortable, I think the opportunities that learning leaders will have in terms of navigating this complex landscape and how do you leverage everything that is out there to make it better for your own organization and be a more effective partner to the business.
Amazing advice. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your time.
Of course.
Okay.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm here at ATD with Amy Happ, who is the Director of Leadership Development at Grant Thornton. So Amy, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Grant Thornton.
Grant Thornton Advisors LLC is our name. We are a professional services firm, so we offer tax, audit, insurance, and advisory services. So very much a people-oriented business. If you need any tax or audit help,
I got my taxes in. I'm good.
Give us a call.
Okay. So we're here at ATD, as we mentioned, right? And there's a lot going on here today.
Yes.
What's one key insight you have from the conference so far?
I have to say, being in the learning field, it's an amazing networking opportunity. So I just got here, but I've already connected with 2 or 3 former colleagues that are at other firms, with some vendors that I haven't worked with in a while. So I would say networking.
I love that. You know, I've often thought of this as like old home week. You know, you're just like coming back for the reunion. Exactly. Okay. So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Or it's actually a statement. The future of learning is fill in the blank.
Personalization.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't need to say any more. That is profound and true. Okay. Last question. You work with a lot of learning leaders and in both at Grant Thornton and in your past, in your previous roles. So what's one piece of advice you have for learning leaders today to be intrepid, to be bold, to be courageous?
I would say you can't be afraid to try new things. That can be new learning content, delivery methods. When we started using Intrepid, I really just think you've got to be looking what's out there and do some small tests, but test things out, try out new things. I think that's the most important thing. You never know what's going to work. And then when you get it just right.
And you won't know if you don't try, right?
Exactly. You won't.
All right. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm here with Matt Donovan, who's the Chief Learning and Innovation Officer at GP Strategies. Matt, tell us a little bit about GP Strategies.
So GP Strategies is the world's largest end-to-end learning and development provider. We do everything from strategy through execution. We do design, development, delivery, technology adoption. We do everything in the L&D space.
Awesome. So Matt, we're here on the ATD floor. It's a bit of a zoo here, right?
Yeah.
So tell us, like, what's one insight that you've taken away from ATD25?
You know, I went to one of the sessions and it was really asking a very provocative question, which was, you know, what is the role of the learning function as we move into the age of AI? And is it really going to be about learning or unlearning? So it's an interesting question of how we start to really change the way we think about the way in which we work and learn and get things done. So it was an interesting, provocative question.
Fantastic. Okay, so lightning round question 2.
Yeah.
The future of learning is?
The future of learning is multivariate. And what I mean by that is I see almost the multiverse of opportunities, but I think it's going to be not only disrupted by AI, but I think it's also going to be enabled by AI. And I think it is an opportunity for us to not only do things maybe faster, but really the opportunity that, from an L&D side to do things better or new that we couldn't even do before.
Yeah.
I think that's a really exciting, which again goes back to that first thing we were talking about,
Yeah.
which is really, do we think differently about how we're solving problems?
Yeah. Disruption and change.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you work with a lot of learning leaders in your role.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is one piece of advice you have for how learning leaders could be intrepid or be bold, be courageous? What do you think?
Yeah, I think really taking the opportunity to stand back and really rethink or re-envision how they look at what is their role or the function inside the organization. Because I really think this is an opportunity for us to move from the idea of an organization as a cost containment center, but really looking as a way to be a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Because the organization that can better pivot its workforce to the disruptions will be better competitively advantaged.
Yeah.
So I think that be able to be bold, to be thinking differently about how we do that is key.
Awesome. Be that strategy activator.
Yeah.
Awesome. Matt, thanks for coming by.
All right.
I'm here with Malika Viltz Emerson, who is the VP of People Optimization at Mass General Brigham. And you also teach at Northwestern University. So tell us a little bit about your work in both those organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Northwestern, I'll start there. I teach in the Masters of Science Learning and Organizational Change.
Okay.
We teach learning technologies, learning sciences, knowledge management. I'm also building a program on AI. It's called the Masters of Technology, People, and Policy through Northwestern, in a new master's showing up there.
Okay.
With Mass General Brigham, I am responsible for like the people optimization, the org effectiveness, the employee experience that we have, sort of the hire to retire process, and sort of the L&D pieces as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Malika, if I'm tracking that right, you're teaching the future chief learning officers, and maybe a few brain surgeons along the way too.
I am. That is correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So we're here at ATD. What is one key insight that you've taken away from ATD 25 so far?
Yeah, it's great. Really, it's reminding me about the human touch.
Yeah.
And so having those deep conversations in person.
Yeah.
And understanding how our situation of where we are with emerging technologies is really impacting and revolutionizing, and in some ways disturbing, but can be in a good way, the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the future of learning is, and fill in the blank for me.
The future of learning is what we continue to make of it, and how we utilize great companies like Intrepid and the emerging technologies, like I mentioned, that we have available. It's also keeping that human touch, ensuring that we have responsible learning that's really impactful to our learners. So yeah, I think that's kind of a brief version of where I would go.
You've heard it from the professor, okay? Okay. So the last question, you work with a lot of learning leaders, both in your career, emerging learning leaders as a professor at Northwestern. What is one piece of advice that you have for learning leaders that could be bold, that could be intrepid, like that could step out and really do something courageous?
Yeah, that's great. I think it's crucial in this time to ensure that we have psychological safety, but really also empathy. And looking at the skills that our leaders have, and really upskilling their business acumen and sort of more of those soft skills.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's important to have that human element. And I keep saying that because we know the era that we're in.
Yeah.
But having that human element, having empathy, being able to understand what psychological safety is, but also the most critical piece is being agile, being able to be ready for that fluidity and constant change.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much, Malika.
Thanks. It's nice to see you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
From tech trends to how to navigate learning as an empathetic leader to connecting with old friends here at ATD. That's a wrap on Being Intrepid, our special episode here. If you'd like to come back and get more, come back to the next episode of Being Intrepid, where we can learn together on how to navigate the future of learning.